Welcome into the Top 5, presented by Flag and Anthem. I'm Paul Catalina. Today, the next steps after the House settlement. Look, it's a big step. We've talked about it all day on the show, but to put a bow on it, here we go. Number 5, does the new enforcement arm work? What is different about this one compared to the last one? What can they do? How swiftly can they produce judgment? That's the biggest thing. I would say the hugest problem with the NCAA's former enforcement was it took 5 years to get anything done. Well, by that time, everybody who did anything is gone. And if the coach has been fired or he left on his own accord and went to the NFL or whatever, you're punishing the next coach who may have had nothing to do with it if he wasn't on that staff. So all these things made very little sense of the way the NCAA carried them out. They also need to come up with a way to not get sued for the way they enforce things. Now, all these schools have to opt in, but that does not stop them from getting challenged. So build a system that does not get you sued. Number 4, how do the collectives evolve? I don't think very much. I think that it's going to be pretty similar to what they're doing now. They might have more standards to follow, but they'll still be able to do pay for play in the way that we've seen it now. Now, every deal above $600 has to be reported to the clearinghouse, NIL Go as it's called. Well, does that mean you're just going to get a whole bunch of $599 deals stacked up into one person? Probably. That's how you avoid IRFs when you transfer deposits between accounts. You know, they have a certain limits that they don't flag. So, people who are trying to avoid taxation, deposit money in smaller amounts. So is that what happens here? I don't know. But how do they deal with this new part of it? How do they deal with the fact that there's now an influx of money that comes in from the schools that does come from the TV network? So do they have to raise less money, which might make it easier on them to fundraise? Who knows? We'll see. But collectives aren't going anywhere, even though that was the original intent of this rule. They will still be there. Number 3, what role does the NCAA have? Now, this probably comes in a lot with congressional legislation, if they ever get it done, and there's rumors that a bill could be introduced as early as this week that kind of codifies some things in the House settlement. But will that bill get passed? Will it get even to both houses of Congress, and will it get signed by the president? That remains to be seen. Congress is really bad at that now. But if the NCAA is not going to enforce things and the Power 4 conferences have all the autonomy, what do? Probably pretty much just host the championships. They're actually really, really good at that. There's not really much you can complain about the way that they organize those, save for some misogynistic leanings when it comes to men's and women's tournaments. The women's tournament in San Antonio in 2021 was abysmal. It was ridiculous what they did, and whoever was in charge of that should never work at any job ever again. But that being said, they're kind of unsure of what they're doing right now. So we'll see. They're kind of wandering around here like a heroin-soaked John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, who now I'm realizing is standing in front of a Winnie the Pooh scratching his butt on a tree. So that's pretty much what the NCAA is. So there you go. Number 2.
It's a great meditation sport. It's just yourself. You get out here, feeling the rhythm, feeling the rhyme. It's a good time.
Gives me the opportunity to hang out with the fellas for about 5 hours, and I get some solitude, relaxation, and a great time.
There's nothing I love more in life that doesn't have a heartbeat than golf.
I like the frustration involved with trying to find that right elusive swing. Or I just like to have a couple cocktails with some friends and maybe some cigars.
Golf is therapy to me.
Malban Golf.
What is the next lawsuit? Title IX. Olympic sport, there's a whole bunch of other things that could happen because there is going to be another lawsuit. So it's not only what is the next lawsuit, what is the next likely settlement on top of the House settlement? Because Title IX is really confusing when it comes to its application here. Not only that, the current administration believes that the Department of Education should not exist. Well, if the Department of Education does not exist, then Title IX, which falls under its purview, what does that even do? So then, if Title IX protections go away from the federal government or they're rolled into something else, believe me, somebody will sue to get Title IX protections back. There's a lot of weird stuff that could happen. And we're at a very weird time politically and governmentally right now to where I'm not so sure the common sense thing is going to happen. So how does that work out? How does it work out for roster limits and other things like that? And finally, how does it work out for Olympic sports? Because I do believe if some of these get moved down to club level all over, there are going to be lawsuits there. Do you protect them? Does everybody protect them? Who makes the cut? Olympic sports at the college level are essentially the foundation of college athletics. Now look, football and basketball and other sports have cropped up over the years, but when sports in college were started, these were the sports: running in a circle and swimming, throwing discus and shot put. Stuff handed down from Mount Olympus, so to speak. So where does this go? How do they make money to stay in? Because they do require a large number of athletes. They are able to make their own NIL money and have been. So that could be something. But how does a college budget when $20 million is mostly going to football and a little to basketball? So they're not going to take it out of their own coffers. That's not what that happens first. They're going to take it out of the athletic department's coffers. So for Olympic sports, for things like tennis and golf, what does that mean for all of them? It is very murky right now. That's going to do it for the top 5. I will be reading polls in just 1 second.